Have the first time I displayed it was at art night, and I really didn't like it because it was in an alleyway, but it was at sunset, and there are these like golden hour shots that are just absolutely stunning. They are like by far my favorite photos of Sonder. So there's like some more like general shots like that, and then I'm a big fan of, there should be one of like a close-up kind of. Hi, my name's Gwendolyn Wiley, and I'm a senior at New Roads. Sonder, my piece that I did for my independent study my junior year was very different in the beginning. I honestly couldn't even tell you what it looked like in the beginning. I didn't know what it looked like in the beginning, and then it just changed a lot over the course of me working on it. The main idea stayed of kind of exploring, the kind of the interaction between individuals and the community, and how we look at the world and look at communities as individuals, and how we are able to play a role in that. And that's where the word Sonder kind of comes in. I'm actually working on a project that I'm super excited about right now for my Visual Arts 4 class with Addie. I'm going to recreate The Last Supper. It's going to be massive, so it's going to be a singular painting for the entire year. And I'm reimagining kind of, not necessarily what The Last Supper would look like in modern times, but also not doing that. It's kind of more of a commentary on like the similarities of what the world looked like back then and what it looks like now, and how the human aspect of both of those worlds is still very similar, and how kind of human nature connects us like through time and space, and how what we are as humans has never seemed to really change much. So right now I think I'm going to put Jesus as a baby in a high chair, and then I'm doing some thorough research about each apostle. One fascinating thing is Leonardo da Vinci, the painter of The Last Supper. He had a tendency to make young men very feminine. So I'm excited to do something with I'm forgetting the name of the apostle, the one on the right of Jesus, but I'm really excited about where that's going.
From New Roads School in Santa Monica, California, this is Village Voices, intergenerational conversations that cultivate an expanding curiosity about the world and its people. This is episode 7. My favorite project.
I can't do that. I can't smack stones together while we're recording. Okay, that's fair.
The mic's all yours.
You and your rules. Hi, I'm Cory Wallace. I am a middle school math teacher at New Roads School. I guess so I just wanted to talk a little bit about a DIY project. So I fell victim to the idea that you can watch an internet video on something and just know how to do it. We were just talking about that, about how it's really easy in the days of information at your fingertips. It's great. It's a double-edged sword. You can learn so much about the world, about other people, connect with people, but you can also really just convince yourself that you know how to do more than you can do. And I fell victim to that in the form of a 2003 Toyota Camry brake job. So in an effort to save money, I said to myself, I don't know what happened. I think I saw an ad. It might have been an ad where I saw brake discs, $80. and I had gotten mine changed myself, $500. Well, I'm getting ripped off, It's obviously a scam. What are they? A couple bolts? Psh, I could do that, no problem. So I decided when the last time its brakes started squeaking, I decided, all right, I'm going to do this myself. So I watched a couple of videos, and the other thing about that is these guys who make these people who make these maintenance videos make it look so easy with the magic of editing. Is another thing I didn't realize before I'd started. But I figured, all right, I watched a couple of videos, no problem, I can do this. So I went to my, my car parts store, got my brakes, got the brake shoes, got a little ratchet set. Not even one that comes in a case. It came in a little zip cloth bag. And that should have been my first cue that I was woefully unprepared. Just like life advice to all of you out there. If you're doing a major job with tools and the tools come in a little zip cloth bag, you have to reassess some of your life choices right there. Because you are probably not equipped to deal with whatever is about to come your way. And I found that out the hard way. But so, I watched the videos. I got the brake discs. I got the brake pads. And I even bought the little latex gloves, which I don't know if you've ever worn, but they're absolutely awful. So that also should have been an indicator right there that I was not cut out for this. But, I watched the video 3 or 4 times. I watched several different videos. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed in how to do this. And I get into it, I start loosening the bolts, take the brake mechanism apart. I loosen the pressure so I can get the mechanism, they're called clampers, I don't even remember, that push the brake pads together on the disc, loosened up. And I'm just flying through it. I'm feeling like just trying to think of the name of a famous mechanic, but I can't. Anyway, I'm feeling like one of those pit crew guys for the Indy 500, right? I just feel like I've got this down. This is so easy. And I'm already fantasizing about all the money I'm going to save from the rest of my life for all the car repairs from now on. This is great. I've been a fool all these years, and so I get the brake shoes and the assembly for that on pretty easily, and get the brake pads, just 3 or 4 bolts, and get the tires. I even took a picture of my car without any tires on it up on jacks and sent it to my friends. I was like, check me out. How do you like that? I did that. So I get in and out. I'm feeling good about it. I even watched a couple of videos about what to do after you get your brakes on your car, and you're supposed to pump and tap the brake pedal a couple of times until you feel pressure return to the brake line. Did that, felt the pressure come back. I'm feeling really good. Drove up and down my street a couple of times, tapping the brakes, going a little faster, slamming the brakes on to see how they're catching. They're catching. Feeling even better about myself, feeling fantastic. Go back in, park the car in the garage, go to bed, and set the alarm to get up and go to school the next day. So next day, and this was several years ago, I had to drive up the 405 to get to work. And it's, in the morning, so it's 6:30 in the morning. We've all been on the 405, stop and go the whole time. I get about a third of the way to work, and I start to smell something. I'm not too concerned, because you drive the 405, you're going to smell things. It's just, sometimes the 405 itself is on fire. So whatever, I'm feeling okay. Makes it even funnier, I actually saw someone I work with next to me in one of the other lanes of traffic, and we're waving, and doing that whole thing. You kind of see someone you work with. So I go another maybe 500-600 yards, and I notice smoke up my window on the side of the driver's side window. And now I'm getting a little concerned. It's white smoke, which I think I told myself, again, this might be the same effect of watching internet videos. I was like, oh, it's white smoke. That's okay. Side note, I have no idea white smoke, black smoke. I don't know. I don't know why I even told myself that mattered. But I was like, it's just a little white smoke. It's fine. Maybe I spilled a little oil somewhere or something. Keep driving. 200-300 more yards, stop and go traffic on the 405, and it is now completely evident that there is smoke billowing up from underneath the wheel well of my car, through the air system, through the passenger window, through the side window. I'm in a cloud at this point. I'm James Bond trying to avoid detection, at the smoke screen going or something. There's people driving by, waving and pointing. I'm trying to play it cool, oh yeah, and I'm fine. Let's go. It's fine. Let's go. I'm fine. But now I'm terrified because there's smoke building out in my car, and the last thing you want to have to do is pull your car over on the 405 and have to get out of it. I mean, that's what's worse than being in a car on the 405, being out of a car on the 405. So I pulled over and just had to turn the car off. The smoke kept coming out for another 5 or 10 minutes. It eventually cooled down, so I realized, okay, I'm not actively on fire now, so that's good. Stashed the car in like a, I don't know, it was like I think a McDonald's or something, called an Uber and had to Uber to school, then spent the rest of the day like Googling brake fire. And what I found out was I had neglected it's called glazing the brakes. You're supposed to heat them up. Brakes discs come out of the store with this like residue on them, I guess. Maybe it's some sort of lubricant. But you have to clean them to make sure there's no dust on them and to make sure you heat them up so that glaze sort of settles at the right consistency. So I don't honestly see. There you go. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand what I was supposed to do. So I had to drive around for a good solid week. And so instead of glazing the brakes, I glazed them by driving. So everywhere I went, I had people coming up behind me, like waving their arms, like, "Hey, are you okay, man? You're on fire. You're on fire." And luckily after about a week, it started to taper off there. But it was a good humiliating week for me.
Hello, my name is Sofia. We had our 5th grade Wonder Project, and I chose to do my Wonder Project on immigrants. And my mom found out about a place called The Nest, or an organization called The Nest, that's usually creates a school for immigrants, and they had one in Tijuana, Mexico, right by the border. It's basically a free school for children any age that are immigrants, and this one was nearby a church. So we decided to go and visit it to actually see what was happening and what was going on. And the reason they did it nearby a church was because the church was for immigrants, so there are thousands. I think there's 800 families at the time that were living in that church. It was kind of sad to see the conditions that people were living in. It was also kind of nice to help out with the children. They didn't speak all the same language, actually. Most of them were Spanish speaking. I do remember that all the teachers were really nice. Upstairs they had a class for parents. The classrooms were really nicely set up, and being there during the day, all the kids were happy and excited to go to school, which is probably something that you don't get as an immigrant. It's probably a privilege. I put a bunch of the information from what I had found in there, and I put some of the pictures. We weren't really allowed to take pictures unless we had permission to from somebody. I also talked about Title 42. It was a law that the president had put in place, President Trump. They basically took the COVID as a reason for not admitting people into the United States, and Biden promised that he would take that away, which he didn't, but he did technically. But now they put in a law, or they did put in a law, where before coming to the border, you have to stop in these little huts along the way and get service there, or register online on an app. But the problem with that was that, one, most people didn't have phones, so it was hard to access the app. And then also, those little huts along the way didn't have shelter. For the younger kids, I stayed mostly with the younger kids. There's a lot of playing more and less learning, and it was interesting because some of the younger kids kind of would share their stories with the materials, kind of communicating without talking, almost.
My name is Jacob Alexander. I am a senior. As of recently, I've been like really like invested in like the fashion world. Um, and being that, well, I mean, like, cause like I haven't been in it for that long. I mean, I just started in like my junior year, but for whatever reason, as of recently, I found myself like sort of like exploring new things. And I don't know, it's like it's been fun. I mean, as like just recently I had made this like really like interesting skirt. It's like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it, obviously. I've worn it around school many times. It's this like long white skirt with like several different pleats across it, but it's not very consistent. It's just like pleats in certain areas, and it's just the inconsistency is what makes it great, in my opinion, and I love it. It was sort of like it was a very spontaneous project. I had like a piece of canvas like lying around in my closet, and I was like, I wonder what I could do with this. So I just decided, let me just put a couple pleats in here and see what happens. And then like over time, like, I mean, I didn't think anything was gonna like come out of that. I just felt like this is just something like to practice with or whatever. But as time went on, I left it alone for a little while, but then came back to it, and then it became what it is now. And so I added a bunch of really nice, interesting things on it that are like office supplies. I put like binder rings across it so that like anytime I walk, it just sounds like I'm a living like instrument of some sort. It's really great, honestly. When it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't ever really have any like plan. It sort of just like happens. It's like sort of like, I guess, reacting to like a certain environment, because like with that piece of canvas, I was just like a senseless creature trying to figure out what I needed to do with this to make it make sense. So like there really is no plan. I just do what I can, really, honestly.
Hello, my name is Mark Ejnes. I'm Ben's dad. He's an 8th grader. Well, I've been fortunate to work on a lot of great projects in my career so far. And one of the most fun and innovative, I have to say, is a project I did in Saudi Arabia. It was a competition for a soccer stadium. And it was pretty unique because the location was on the edge of a cliff in a desert. So it was really a 3-sided stadium with the Royal Box having views across the field into the canyon, into the cliff. And so that was pretty unique. And so it was an opportunity to really be creative and be innovative because of the site and because of the mission and the aspirations of the client, which are extremely large. So, it's obviously a very hot climate. It's a tough climate. It's also in the desert, so there are sandstorms. And part of the brief was to create a retractable roof stadium, which makes sense. We have retractable stadiums here, for example, in Atlanta. And one of the things I've noticed is, first of all, that a lot of retractable roofs are mechanical, which might be tough in that environment with sandstorms. So, because the sand might get into all the mechanisms and screw up the works. So that's number one, an issue. And number two is a lot of retractables also, when they're open, the sun is always moving, so the location of the shade that it provides is changing, which means the location of the sunlight changes, and sometimes it's actually on the fans. So in Saudi Arabia, you literally cannot sit in the sun for 5 minutes. So you have to design a retractable roof that can work in that harsh environment, but will always provide shading, always, 100% of the time, on a spectator that's sitting there for 2 hours or 3 hours. So I came up with a system that I just sort of invented. I came up with a roof that had no moving parts per se, no mechanical parts, but initially it was a series of balloons that were spaced apart from each other, and when they were deflated, the sun could pass through, and when they were inflated, they all touched each other, if you can imagine, and so it provided shading. So across an entire roof, you can actually track the movement of the sun and inflate the particular balloons that are at the right angle at that very moment to keep shade entirely on all the stands and allow sunlight only on the pitch. And that was, a great idea, but it was not really feasible because there was no such balloon mechanism that could be that large scale. We're talking about tens of thousands of balloons up there and inflating them and deflating them. So I came up with another system, which was an alternate, which worked the same way, which was a series of these fabric balloons made of ETFE, which is a structural fabric, which a lot of roofs are made of on stadiums. And those balloons, those balls, had a layer of smart film inside of them, which turns opaque with a low voltage charge. So I could change each one of those balls or bubbles or balloons. I could change them from opaque to transparent with an electronic charge. And so there was the hook. No movable parts, just low voltage, and using programmable and AI programmable systems to actually track the sun and always provide shade on the spectators.
Hi, I'm Zafi Ahmed. I'm an art teacher here at New Roads. So my favorite project was my most recent solo show as part of my thesis graduate program. I attended Claremont Graduate University, inland here in Southern California. My solo show was titled Arabesque, and I'm especially proud of it because I was able to stop doing everything I was doing for 2 years and just dedicate myself fully and immerse myself just solely on one project. Like, I was working full time prior, and so I was always split between all the things that I do. So to stop and just dedicate yourself to one thing for that amount of length of time, I think I'm very proud of that moment in my life. And I got to have that be my culminating thing. So after 2 years of research, I was able to come out with a show, and it was a solo show that was just mine that featured 6 works of art, and 2 of them were large-scale immersive installations with reflective components. One of the pieces was 12 feet tall by 37 feet wide. So if you know me, I'm not a person of tall stature. So to have a piece that's also so physically large, I'm especially proud of. And then through that time, I just feel like now I have a body of work that I'm still continuing to investigate. But I'm proud to say that I have something that I'm passionate about that I'm exploring to this day. And that topic, my specific work explores the idea of pattern and the idea that pattern is a decorative device, but also we are living forms of pattern. And a hashtag is a pattern, our routines and everyday things is a pattern. And I'm just excited that I have this topic that I'm especially passionate about that I can explore every day in my daily art practice and my practice here through teaching. I notice all the patterns of our day-to-day and include it in my art practice. So, yeah.
Today's episode featured Gwendolyn Wiley, Cory Wallace, Sofia Rosenblatt, Jacob Alexander, Zafi Ahmed, music by New Roads teacher Ruben Ramos, former New Roads student Isaiah Brody, and Lo-Fi Roo. Production by me, Dan Kearney. I'm also the 8th grade history teacher here at New Roads. Be sure to tune in next time for more Voices from the Village.